now, I want to go straight to the phone lines. Mike Zullo, are you connected with us?
I am, Carl. How are you today?
Doing great. Well, I didn't know if the deep state had already cut you off, so, you know.
I'm on a tin can and string from a dark cellar.
Oh, man, I know you are, and it's just amazing. You and I could talk for hours with the stories we have about computers being hacked, and you and me talking about stuff on the phone, and the next day it's in Fox News and other fake news. It's just amazing. And then, of course, inside information that you got that the NSA was monitoring your calls. They were following you closely, and all of this deep state stuff you've been knowing about. I start to say you and I, but you're the main investigator, of course. But you and I have been knowing about this stuff years before we even knew to call it the deep state, right?
Yeah, we had no idea what we were up against back then, and we were talking about it as if it was some anomaly, something just happening, and now we're watching this unfold right before our eyes. We know what exactly got in our way and why they were doing it.
Yeah. So I know the people want to hear from you mostly, so let me just set this up for you. I'm going to hand it to you, and you take it from there. And that is the two things I want to talk to you about in this segment from now to the bottom of the hour is this Alex Jones saga, because that's tied into fake news and deep state, big time. And then, of course, what's happening right now, again, today, right before our eyes, Donald Trump snatching national security clearance from big level players, top names. John Brennan was the first one, and there's more to come. And all of that ties in to Alex Jones, deep state, the birth certificate, etc. So I'm going to hush, and you just take it from here and give us your insight and understanding.
Well, Carl, let's start off first with the unfolding now of the security clearance of being revoked of John Brennan. And President Trump looking, I believe, to revoke 10 others, if my math is correct. What is becoming glaring and amazing to me is these players now that are in the national spotlight. You have John Brennan, James Clapper, Michael Hayden, James Comey. Those players were individuals whose names came up to us during the investigation into Obama's fraudulent birth certificate. Mm-hmm. With information supplied to us by not only a CIA informant that we were working with, that your audience is familiar with, but other intelligence officials. So to watch this now and see the pictures of these people and see what's exactly happening in our country today, we have a conspiracy. We have a coup to derail or attempt to derail an election or attempt to, worse, dethrone a sitting president of the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And you have the president of the United States now. I think he is finally putting it all together where these people are bad actors, they don't have credibility, and they're not to be trusted. And let's just start off with James Brennan. I mean, James Brennan, by President Trump's account, former CIA director, who President Trump is citing erratic conduct and behavior, but it goes way deeper than that. John Brennan, back in 1980, at the height of the Cold War, voted in a presidential election for the Communist Party candidate running at that time. Mm-hmm. So he basically wasn't a Republican, he wasn't a Democrat, he was voting for a Communist Party candidate. And by his own admission, he did so. And on top of that, he was apprehensive or nervous about obtaining security clearance because of that issue, and somehow he was able to obtain that. So you have someone now who is the director of the CIA under Obama, who basically aligned himself with communist thinking, an enemy of capitalism, an enemy kind of thought process against the United States.
Yes.
And this guy was sitting leading our most valued intelligence service.
Yeah.
I mean, responsible for things overseas and protecting this country.
Yeah.
John Brennan.
Yeah.
John Brennan was also noted as having to lie to the House Intelligence Committee concerning some details about the Clinton campaign funding and the fake Trump dossier. Mm-hmm. So we know that he's not a truthful individual. Yet if you see what's happening today, because this was the first salvo that the president launched against the Intelligence Committee's privilege of having security clearances after they depart, now you see Democratic talking heads coming out and trying to equate this rescinding of a privilege with a violation of a constitutional amendment, the right to free speech.
Yeah.
And it has no correlation.
Nothing.
You can't reconcile the two.
Right.
But the reason why they're doing that is in 1988, there was a court case with this very challenge. And the court had decided that the president was ultimately responsible for safeguarding intelligence information. However, the president did not have the power or authority if it violated any other statutory provision. In other words, they're trying now to gin up a lawsuit to say that this is a violation of First Amendment issues. The president does not have the authority to revoke the clearance. Mm-hmm. And I think what you're also seeing here is an attempt to neuter a sitting president.
Yeah.
If you go back and you look at the last 2 years, Carl, everything he has done within his presidential powers, anything that Obama would have done, would never have been challenged. But everything this sitting president done, it ends up going to some district judge, a Democrat, a left-wing judge, to be halted or thwarted.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening right now, and we're seeing the elements of the players involved in trying to usurp the presidency of the United States of America.
Exactly. Deep state. He is draining the swamp, and the alligators and the water moccasins are losing their minds. And the thing about it is, by revoking this security clearance, he's cutting off the pipeline. He's turning off the water that's just flowing into the mouths of these players, these deep state players whose whole purpose truly is to bring down the United States of America. Donald Trump just happens to be in the way. They didn't hate Donald Trump in years past. Remember that now. The left loved him. But now he's standing in their way. Now he's cutting off the water supply, if you will. Now he's cutting off their oxygen, and they're going out of their minds. And I think a lot more snatching of these security clearances are on the way, Mike. And listen, you're not going to say this, so I'm going to say it for you, and then you can comment, you can deny it, you can tell me I'm crazy if you want, or you can affirm it. But you and I, we've talked right here. You, months ago, told our audience, as the swamp is being drained, you said, keep your eyes on Brennan. All roads will lead back to John Brennan. And today, Trump apparently agrees with you. You've also exposed years ago that the URLs from the CIA, which Brennan was over at the time, are traced back to the Hawaii Department of Health, the University of Hawaii health records and history records, right before that fake long-form birth certificate was published on the government website. The CIA was hacking those systems, and you exposed that several years ago. Who was running the CIA? Brennan. And so those things all connect to what's happening now, don't you think? Or if you disagree, feel free to say it.
Oh, every one of them absolutely connect. And on this list of 10 that he's reviewing whether or not to permit them to have security clearance is General Hayden. General Hayden is responsible for bringing forth Trailblazer. Trailblazer, if your audience remembers, was the mass data collection apparatus that did not have Fourth Amendment protections in it. That is the very vehicle that has been used to collect data without any encryption protection, raw information on every American sitting in the United States today. It is completely illegal. And as a matter of fact, he was chastised by the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he was told to shut that program down. And Dennis Montgomery told us he had information, he had proof that what they did is they never shut it down. Hayden unloaded it to Montgomery when he was operating in Nevada as a contractor for the CIA, all the while he's leading the Intelligence Committee to believe that it was in fact shut down.
Right.
Now, that's the guy responsible for that. Now, on top of that, let's go one step further. James Clapper. James Clapper lies to Congress, lies under oath, that the United States Intelligence Agency were not collecting data on Americans. And he kind of threw it out there like, maybe by happenstance, don't quote me on the exact wording, but maybe by happenstance we might get some. A blatant lie. And later, after the statute of limitations expires, where he could be charged with perjury, does he come out and give an explanation that he gave the most lenient, untruthful answer.
Yeah.
Well, you lied.
Yes.
You lied. You lied under oath. Now, these are the players involved with this. So this is going to go way deeper than what the public is seeing.
Yeah.
There's actors that have been doing things for years unchecked.
Yeah.
Obviously, the FBI, CIA, DOJ, DNI, NSA think they answer to no one.
And you know what, Mike? We're going to have to take a break, but I'm going to tell you what. That is astounding what you're telling us, and you and I have been talking about it, you mainly, and me, giving you the air, but we've been talking about this stuff for years, the connections, and now here it is playing out right before our eyes. You announced years ago that there was earth-shattering information, and this was part of it. All of these deep state connections that you were uncovering years ago, but the deep state was shutting you down and trying to shut me down. And now you have the explanation for what's been going on, and probably most people have never heard it anywhere except right here on Freedom Friday, Mike. So I thank you for being here. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, you've got more to reveal, and I look forward to that. Folks, you're listening Freedom Friday, Carl Gallups, and this is why you listen. We'll be right back. We're going to go straight back to the phone lines and put Mike Zullo on because we want to redeem the time. So, Mike, you're bringing information that you uncovered, and you and I have known and been talking about privately and then publicly on air, as much as we could say publicly, about deep state, the major players. That's why you revealed about the URLs from the CIA that were involved in the Obama birth certificate scandal and still are, and then of course Dennis Montgomery and the CIA informant that came to you, worked with him for several years, and getting him FBI immunity. But Comey was the one that was in charge. And on and on and on it goes. You're the one that said all roads are going to lead back to John Brennan. You said that on this show months and months and months and months ago, and I'm sure people out there kind of scoffed and said, well, what do they know about that? Well, people need to understand that you know a whole lot more about this than you can even talk about. But thank you for talking about what you can talk about. One of those things is that you have some inside scoop. You've had some inside scoop for a long time about this open secret within the intelligence community about something very important. You go ahead and talk about that and then slide right into the Alex Jones saga because it's all related, Mike.
Well, Carl, I'm going to be a little cryptic in this, but information that I have had for a while, and there's a lot of information that we have had in a while. A lot of this information when we were doing that birth certificate investigation, it's almost impossible to corroborate. The only way you can corroborate it, unfortunately, is hearing the same thing from someone else unrelated at different times, and you get the same story. Well, the information that came, aside from there never being a birth certificate at Kapolani Medical Center, and when they went looking for it, they could never find it, what was another piece of striking information that was developed, and I will never reveal these sources. However, they are top intelligence people in two different branches of intelligence, and they are not office clerks. I'm just going to leave it like that.
Okay.
And it's been relayed to me that it has been an open secret in the intelligence community in D.C. that Obama could never satisfy the constitutional requirement to have been born on American soil. And that's been an open secret. Now, in our investigation, we were not tasked with determining that. We were looking for evidence of a fraudulent document and perhaps the reasons behind it, but our mission was never to find out where he was or was not born.
Right.
However, that's the open secret. Now, that's the open secret in intelligence community, and you have John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey, Michael Hayden, all these players that were in control of those entities are now embroiled in this soft coup to destroy the presidency of the United States.
Yeah, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. I mean, the list goes on and on. General Hayden, I think you said that. It's absolutely astounding. And what you and I have been telling folks for years, that deep state people or people who were in the circles of the deep state, they know this. They knew this. People were calling us birthers and conspiracy theorists and nuts and tinfoil hat, but we knew what we had, and we knew the people that were telling us inside these three-letter agencies. Basically, they were saying, they didn't use these words, but they basically were saying to you, Mike Zullo, you are correct. And we've known that for years.
Well, Carl, think about this. How many attempts did we make trying to surface the truth about that PDF file? How many Congress people may have tried only to be shut down?
Yes, and we know some of them
We may never
personally.
know that answer.
Yeah, and you and I know some of them by name personally and spent time with them, but no telling how many others were shut down.
So when you have rogue entities like this that think that they can do things with such secrecy and are accountable to no one except themselves, that's ripe for corrupt power.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. I mean, they sit here and they want to say that they have a right to speak truth to power.
Right.
That's great. You can say whatever you want. You just don't need a security clearance to do it. And from what I've been reading, now I can't verify this obviously, but from what I've been reading, there is anywhere from 1 million to 5 million people running around with various levels of security clearance. You can't possibly tell me we need 5 million past employees of the United States government to help a current administration.
Yeah.
You just can't. So how do you police 1 to 5 million people? How do you know what they're doing now? How do you know who's infiltrated them? How do you account for this? How do you control something like this? You can't. When you and I left the police department, back in, well, I don't know so much back in your day, but remember when the computer terminals came out, NCIC checks?
Oh, yes.
You had to have credentials for those.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Right? When you left, you had to turn in those creds. You couldn't go back in there the day after you left and hit that computer anymore.
Correct. Nobody kept me with all kinds of security clearance, and I left on good terms.
Right. So, I mean, what's the difference here? So this is extremely dangerous, and what the president is doing, I hope he doesn't stop here. I hope he puts in for a complete review of this entire process.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you don't know where any of these secrets are going.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy like James Comey who covers up Hillary Clinton's email scandal that they know her server was breached. But that's just not an issue. We won't talk about this.
Right. You got 2 minutes. You want to talk about Alex Jones very quickly and your thoughts on that and how it ties?
Alex Jones, first of all, I fully support Alex Jones. Alex Jones has a right to say whatever it is he wants to say. I can tell you from my own experience, at the beginning of this investigation, I didn't know who Alex Jones was. Mm-hmm. Over the course of 6 or 7 years, I have followed him, and it is uncanny the way that he is able to release information 12 months, 18 months before an event happens. Yeah. A year ago, he came out and said they were going to come after free speech. They were going to use these technology companies to do it. They were going to target him. All of that is happening now. This is critical. They should never have a right to censor you on an open platform. Yeah. And you could, they could say Alex Jones said this about Sandy Hook. You know what? I don't know what he said about Sandy Hook, and I don't care.
Yeah.
He could say whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can say what he wants.
I don't have to listen to it.
No, that's right. And if he steps over the law, then he can be sued or whatever. But other than that, he can say what he wants to. He can give his opinion. Well, Mike, I hear the music. My gosh, every time you and I are on together, the time flies. But thank you so much. You've connected a lot of dots. You've made a lot of sense out of the mess that's going on. But I'm convinced Donald Trump, more than likely, the birth certificate will be a part of this in the days, months, maybe year or two to come. But thank you for the work you've been doing and you still are doing. God bless you, Mike. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Carl. Take care now.
Okay. All right. Well, folks, God bless you as well. Thanks for listening. Come on back in just about 5 minutes.
American Survival Wholesale is proud to sponsor this ministry and their efforts to shed light on the issues that face our nation. As a veteran and Christian-owned and operated company, we support the freedom to express these Christian principles. We all understand the importance of being prepared. After witnessing the devastation of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and the wildfires that affected so many, please support this ministry by clicking on the link below and check out the amazing alt media package for our listeners. Plus, if you use the promo code PNN Radio, that's PNN Radio, you will receive free shipping, a savings of up to $200. Just click on the link below, but please do it today. Your support means so much to this channel.